Hello everyone, today we have another deck that was built and featured by a user named Zuns on Twitter or X. They used this during last season to reach rank 1, and it is still doing incredible things. So today I noticed that we saw an uptick in Arishem again, and anytime that deck is very common, you're going to want to be using some kind of Hawk deck. And this one does a mashup between the Korg Rockslide Hawk style build and then also the Silver Surfer build. It mashes those two kind of separate archetypes very well. And so you're not only going to be able to be advantageous or advantaged over the Arishem builds, you're also going to be able to put really high value, high disruption onto the board, and it worked incredibly well for me. During stream, we were able to maintain over a 60% win rate with this build alone, and it just absolutely kept printing cubes for me. And so it is very viable. If you don't have the Nocturne, you could replace it with another 3-cost card. If you don't have Mockingbird, you can sub it out, but Mockingbird, as long as you have one Brood, maybe you do Brood plus Absorbing Man, gives you a really good high-tempo, high-value play that does help you regain and maintain initiative, which is something that's really big. Going into the last turn of a game, having initiative if you've dropped Hawk, you can then protect it with your Cosmo, you can copy it with Mystique, and just absolutely explode power onto the board. Mystique in this build is primarily going to be used as that Hawk copy. I have seen people say that they ended up cutting it out, but if you're really seeing very much Arishem, having that secondary Hawk gives you a very big push in a different lane, finding you another way to win another lane. So this could also very rarely be used to copy Cosmo. If for some reason you need to really protect two lanes from those on reveals, you can copy that with Mystique, but most of the time you're going to be copying your Hawk with it, which is going to be against a normal deck, around a 10 power play. Against an Arishem, it's going to be a million power. And so we're going to jump over into a couple of games. We're going to keep the explanation relatively short. Thank you guys again, as always, for being here. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, next up we have Bane, Juan, and another Arishem deck. So with Arishem making a comeback, I think it might be a really good time for this deck. And so the first location is the hub. Just Ichi, you got all the drops? Yeah, I AFK'd a couple of streams last night to be able to pick up all the drops as well. And so let's go ahead and head over into the emote only chat for the 2 minutes, and then we'll be right back in, you guys. So Mirage ended up stealing our Forge, right? We can always Forge into Brood into Absorbing Man, which is a decent line for us. And then if we get Sarah, we always have the possibility to do Hawk plus Mystique on the last turn. So Muir Island is really big. Let's go Brood into Muir Island. And then I think it's Absorbing Man into Necrotia. And we'll kind of play it out from there. Windjet, Forge, and Kitty Pride. All right. I don't know why. I always enjoy the emote only chat. You get to see all kinds of really cool ones that you don't see very often. And we do draw the Hawk though. And so it could always be Hawk on 5, Mystique on 6. Snap. And we do have Mockingbird as well. So Mockingbird is going to go down to 1 cost. And so I think it's enough for us to snap into. We have the little broodlings in Necrotia, which do get reduced in power, but I think it's okay. Their Yondu hits our Korg, giving us a better chance to draw into Sarah next turn, which would be beautiful. Red Guardian hits Forge. I think is all right. Well, let's see what we end up pulling here. Cosmo. I think we go Hawk left. Then it might be like a Mystique plus a Cosmo going into that last turn. That way we protect the Hawk from that counterplay. And I think we're okay there. So maybe, I don't know that we even get to play the Mockingbird, unfortunately. And that does look like it has been the 2 minutes. So we will free you guys from the emote only chat. I appreciate you guys so very much. And so the Snow Guard comes down. The Punisher in mid. Let's see. I think it becomes a Mystique into a Cosmo left to make sure that we're not going to get Shang-Chi'd, we're not going to get rogued or anything that would swing that momentum against us. And we also have a pretty significant lead in the right, and so that's why we're pushing Mystique into mid. And so Nocturne changes the middle location.
Breaking news.
And then ours will reveal first. So Mystique coming down. I think Cosmo may be that deciding factor today. Dogs, you said beard looking good. There is the Shang-Chi that we're blocking against. It does look like it's going to end up being that casserole just from that protection. Cosmo is the bestest of boys and is one that is oftentimes slept on. So it allows you that freedom to drop that Hawk into a later Cosmo protection. It said how Hawk has become a tech card to Arishem. Yeah. And it's sad how that's needed. So sometimes you just throw it into whatever build, which is kind of frustrating. Mystic hits football. Football I can see as well. So I think we're going to snap into this one. We have Brood for the Altar of Death, which is going to be really big, and then we're just pushing to win one of the other ones. We do have the Rock Slide for maximum disruption on 1 and 3. I think we'll push for it. I know, but it soccered him. Yeah, we call it soccer here, but I recognize that it's football too. Princess, welcome in. I was trying to read your name, and I was having a tough time doing it. But Princess, welcome in. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. So we could Rock Slide rotation. That gives us a chance to pull it again. Where's Gwynpool? I don't have Gwynpool in this build. And then 1. It's good to see you as well. I'm glad that you're here. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. So the Nocturne is also kind of decent. We could either rip away Muir Island because we can't really do much against the double scaling. Maybe we just push to win in the Quantum Tunnel instead. They get the... Oh no. We get the Rock Slide right back in our hand. So we're going to add another rock to them. I think we give up in Muir Island. We have to look out for Juggernaut here. But I think Altar of Death becomes very winnable with just like a Brood or a Nocturne move. Oh, mother. Okay. I was trying to figure out the MTHR, what that stood for. So the She-Hulk to the left, the Absorbing Man doesn't hit anything, but the Gwynpool plus Zabu in this deck levels it up. I could see Zabu doing okay, but he only really has Gwynpool as that target, right? Otherwise, it becomes kind of clunky with Absorbing Man. All right, I think we're going to Sarah into whatever we end up dropping next turn. So we have Hawk still in our deck. We have Cosmo that we would have to look out for a rotation tool. They get a Nocturne of their own, so they can change the Quantum Tunnel now. They did destroy one of the rocks in Altar of Death, so they can do a big last turn play here. So we don't have initiative. Cosmo doesn't do us too many good things. We could do Nocturne, Brood, Surfer into Mystique and see if we can hit Surfer twice. Or we pull out Brood, or we pull out Hawk, we pull out Rock Slide. I think this is the direction we go. If the old, there's nothing to destroy in the Deadpool season, yeah. So they didn't play into mid, even though they could move it over. So Misty Knight rotation. We're hoping for rocks. Okay, the Enchantress is okay. It's relatively small. Kitty Pryde into the rock. They did have a lot of those shuffled in, and so we should be able to beat 5. If not, it's unfortunate. We have the Silver Surfer coming down into Forge. Okay, that's all. That's enough. That's all we needed. Into the Mystique. Rotating into Surfer one more time, which is another good hit. We stack mid. We had way more than what could have been pushed there. And then the rotation with the rocks is really unfortunate, which is one of the good things about Hawk, is that it just creates so much inconsistency in the draws and rotations. We'll gladly take it, though. And so we skipped on 1. The second location is the Vibranium Mine. We do have Forge, but it's just giving us like some somewhat good value. We can do that into like a Rock Slide on 3. The Raptors help discount our Mockingbird, which makes it decently worthwhile, even if we can't get it super cheap. Let's go Rock Slide to add that disruption to them. We have Korg next turn. And then Ray Yolo, you said, hey there, Mr. TLSG, how's your day going? The day is going well. We have a pretty good stream going on. We've had a lot of fun. We've been climbing up and down the ladder, and so it's definitely been a good one. And Cranes of Glory, thank you so much for the Prime sub as well. I appreciate it. Hopefully you're having a great day so far. So I think Mockingbird to the left gives us good value there, and then we're gonna stack into mid. We don't want to disrupt our draw with Vibranium Mine just yet. Any recommendations for Nocturne alternatives?
Hey, man, cool.
Red Guardian is decently useful around this time or in this current meta. And so I would think Red Guardian, Juggernaut, just another good kind of value tech 3 cost, I think would be solid. So we do draw into the Hawk. We have Mystique with Mobius. We don't want to play Sarah. And so maybe this becomes similar to the other games where we go Hawk, Cosmo to protect it, Mystique to win one of the other lanes. Was it Zunz? I thought it was Xeno, but I think it was Zunz. Zunz hit rank #1 with this one last season, and I think it still holds a lot of really good strength. And so we loaded up a different game earlier, or a different deck earlier, and it did okay. It was a Beta Ray Bill deck. But this one definitely feels like, if you're facing primarily Arishem, feels like the deck to go to. And so let's go ahead and so if this is for the right, we still win. I think this is what we end up going with. It's the same play as last time. We're gonna throw the Cosmo down to protect the Hawk. We swing one of the other lanes with the Mystique. And so they do stay for the 4 here, dropping the 3 cards. We'll see what they end up pushing, but I think Cosmo wins us handily the middle location. Mockingbird to the right is not going to end up being enough. We get the shocked face from the Cosmo. It's just, it's if your opponent is not expecting the Cosmo drop, it steals you so many big cubes. We were able to push for initiative with the Hawk and then swing it the rest of the way home after that. I think that's the 3rd game that we had a big net cube equity and caused people to stay because of the Shang-Chi that they had primed for the Hawk. Snap, and then you end up losing, but you would still make that snap every time. It's about kind of mitigating your chances and your risk and pushing the advantage whenever you have it. And so it's one of the things that I really like about the game. Palaba, thank you so much for the Prime sub. I appreciate having you here. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day so far. And so we are going against another Arishem deck. We have the Hawk. We have Rock Slide to play into Muir Island. I almost want to snap this one again. We don't have Mystique just yet, but we do have the Hawk, which if we use on the last turn is just a really big way to swing one lane. And then we're just looking for how to outposition them somewhere else. Played against a similar deck with Auk and Legion. I hope that deck does not become meta. The Hawk and Legion are definitely some really disruptive, hard to play against cards. All right, so Sakara is going to pull into one of our cards in the right. The best would probably be Sarah. The worst would be Hawk. They Loki, or the worst would, I guess, not the worst. The worst would be Surfer. But they Loki, and so they had 5 of our cards. Pulling out the Surfer, they have 4 left. Be Hawk, Mystique, Cosmo. We have to look out for what potential plays they have. The worst are players who emote after getting the God Hand in locations a bit. Never snap, so they get 1 measly cube. I mean, sometimes I like to just see the games or the matches play out. So sometimes I fall into that category where I don't snap, even if I have like the God Hand, because sometimes it's just fun to see the big numbers roll out. So we could Sarah into mid or left. I think left. Make sure that we drop Cryo, and so then we're going to be able to Hawk and Mystique on the last turn. Yeah, what a big Infinite they have. My goodness. Into the one singular rock that was shuffled into our deck. And so I'm glad we weren't super reliant on to try something else. We fall here to an Eliath, but I think that ends up being the most of the cases for us in these Arishem matches. And so an Eliath would swing it back against us. We could also play Hawk away from the right and put more power to the left. But Hawk is the Hawk is greater than the
Hey,
Infinite
welcome.
though.
It took you long
But it
enough.
does push them a good bit on their way. Roxine? Roxine? I don't know why I'm struggling with that one. Thank you so much for the Prime sub and the support. I appreciate having you here. Let's go ahead and lock in the Hawk Mystique play, and then I don't think that will be a mistake. So the Forge comes down. The big Mockingbird, they go super heavy into mid. I guess feeling safe in the Infinite play, but we have the Hawk that's going to be bigger, and then I think we're actually going to get the Casserole again with the Mystique popping into mid. We'll take it. We'll take the 4 cubes where we can. Arishem decks, and the strength of Hawk against Arishem decks is the only thing that I think really keeps that deck in check. And so we'll gladly collect a few donations here and there for those cubes. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and launch the Korg to the left. We're gonna send it over into emote only chat, so you guys enjoy for the 2 minutes of the emote only chat. And we're going against I Will Turn Off Limbo once again. And so Triskelion fills up our hand. There's not anything that we can play on 2, unfortunately. Gladly, we do have a turn 3 play, so we'll be able to draw then. But Triskelion did not do great for us. We have a Doc Ock if we ever start feeling real cheeky. Let's go ahead and play the Nocturne. That gives us the ability to move over into Kunlun. Even though it changes it, it should buff her up to 7. The Hydra Bob deck as well from turning off Limbo. So here, I think it makes sense to do Coal Obsidian to the left. There might be a weird line where we decide to go Doc Ock, but I don't know. Because we definitely don't go... Because if they didn't have Mobius, Coal Obsidian into Doc Ock would have made a 2-cost Scar, which would have been amazing. But instead, Stera no longer becomes the play. I think it's either Doc Ock or Spider-Woman, but I like the Doc Ock play here. We're going to force them into capping out this middle location. We could even snap into it to make Hydra Bob move off of this lane. So if we're losing by just a touch, we could use that as kind of a lever or potential mechanism. So Mockingbird doesn't get a discount here. We would have to invest further into this lane. Like a Spider-Woman, but that still doesn't feel great. So if we did Spider-Woman, that would bring this one down to 18. It would bring us up to 18. So if we moved Nocturne and snapped, we could force the Hydra Bob out. Maybe if they snap. It just depends on what their big finisher is. We don't have a great finishing line. I kind of want to see this one play out. We're going to stick it out. Hydra Bob will move on them. And we'll turn off the emote only chat. You guys are free for the remainder of this game. Let's see how this one rolls. We could lose a big cube one here. Just a card to the left. Spider-Woman reducing the power of their Hydra Bob even before it moves. Into the Shang-Chi, taking out Coal Obsidian. We should win this one, right? Yeah, we win the split. I think had he even stayed here, we won the point differential. But we will gladly take the 4-cuber against the Hydra Bob gamer. Let's go ahead and jump. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. Poor little Bob. He tries. I like the fact that they added in that mechanism where he interacts with the snap, but it just feels lackluster most of the time. And so next up we have Tango with Django. The first location is Westview. We have the Forge into the Brood line, which is always a really good one. We could potentially follow that up with the Absorbing Man, and it helps us discount our Hawk. Or not our Hawk, our Mockingbird. I think I want to play Forge into New York, then we'll play Brood outside of it. So Negasonic over to the right is a little bit unfortunate, but we do have Brood, so we could kind of lean into the fact that one of them gets destroyed, and it's okay. Decently okay anyways. Man, it's so good to have you back. Definitely my favorite streamer. So good at explaining while being humble at the same time. I enjoy streaming. I enjoy that you guys are enjoying the content most of all, because you guys are what make it possible for me to be able to do this. And so I wouldn't be able to be here without you guys. So I appreciate you, whether you're in here chatting or just kind of enjoying the vibes. So we do have the Cosmo. We have Hawk as well. So I think we go like Cosmo to the right. We might follow up with Hawk into Mystique on 6. Actually, no. This is an Arishem deck. I don't know why we're sweating it. We have both Hawk and the Mystique line and the Cosmo to protect it. And so I think we're in a really good spot. Would there be a particularly good replacement for Nocturne? So she's not like crucial. She's just a good kind of flexible power amount. And so another 3 cost like Red Guardian would still be really good. This deck is addicting. I'm getting retreats and 4 cubes left and right. Yeah, this one is just putting in work. It's doing wonders. I kind of think we go ahead and Hawk into the Mystique plus like a Rock Slide, potentially on that last turn. It kind of goes into that same situation as last time, but I think more often than not, it opens up my last turn play potential by going Hawk on 5 instead of Sarah if we have both. We could Sarah, but that limits us to just Hawk and just Mystique. And then we're definitely dead in the water to like an Eliath. And so I think with Hawk and Cosmo to protect it, I do like the idea of playing it out now. So Leader ends up copying the Hawk, but it's gonna be a little bit smaller than the one that we have. Still a respectable 9 power. I like the idea of doing something like this. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7 ends up being the Rock Slide. So if we were worried about winning this lane, I think Rock Slide would be the choice. Just the Mockingbird would be a little bit more. And I think we're just going to move everything that we have into New York, and we'll give up the right lane. Let's go ahead and ship it, see if they end up sticking it out. Since they don't, that is a big move into mid, leaving only a Negasonic in the right lane. So Big Blob comes in. It does drain the Hawk quite a bit, but we still have the lead in mid. The Mystique is going to copy the Hawk. We'll win left, we'll win mid, we'll win right. And so even though we were able to show it out on the board, sometimes it tricks them into staying instead of forcing us into exactly what we can do. So we will take the 4 cubes against the Blob. They were hoping it would drain it enough that they were able to overcome the power when it was stacked, but